Hey everybody, it's Kathy. Welcome to episode 35 of Mondays on the Mat. I am coming to you live from my office slash yoga room, and it feels so good to be back here. We've missed a few weeks due to some travel that I was having. And I didn't really realize like how much I enjoy answering your questions and providing you with information. Did you guys hear that? It's my cat Moxie in the background, and I've got my co-host Agnes over here on the side. So there's lots of love surrounding us today. As always, if you have questions or comments as we dive into today's topic, please be sure to post them down here, or if you're watching this later on YouTube or on Facebook after the live broadcast, you can still add in any questions or comments and I will happily respond to you or maybe answer you on an upcoming episode of Mondays on the Mat. Today's topic was supposed to be post-travel poses, with Thanksgiving coming up and a lot of people having some long car rides or plane trips. I thought it would be great to talk about how to unravel your physical body. But as many of you know, I am highly intuitive. That means that I am receptive to hearing subtle energies, what you might call spiritual guidance or something along those categories. And I got a sense this morning, especially when I was having my meditation time, that I needed to drop that topic like a hot potato and instead share with you some insights about being rich and wealthy. And so if you're freaking out and you're like, oh, but I really need those post-travel poses because I'm about to sit in the car for 8 hours, let me know and I'll come back live tomorrow and answer that or show you that sequence that I had planned. But what's going to happen today is that I'm really going to speak to you straight from my heart. And as you know, from some of the previous episodes, I'm going to have to go back and check the numbers, but I know that we talked about the difference between your thinking head brain and your heart brain. And your heart is an actual brain that feels and processes emotions more than your mind does. So this is where I'm coming from today with a really sincere story and hopefully some wisdom that might serve as inspiration for you as we move into the holiday season, and some feelings around finances and wealth and richness might come up for you. So I just recently turned 46, and in all of my 46 years, I have never felt inside my body or inside my being what I would call the feeling of being rich or wealthy. And I mean that in a financial sense. I've never felt financially wealthy. And I'm just going to give you a tiny bit of background on what's driving this shift that I'm experiencing to help put it into context for you. So some of you may know I had been spending the vast majority of this summer creating a book proposal to submit to a writing contest to potentially get my book, Empty Buckets Overflow, published. And I went through a professional editing process to create this really professional, high scale, high quality proposal. And I spent a considerable amount of money working with a professional editor on that, and I'm super proud of the results. I did not win the contest, and so from my understanding was that I could take this proposal and use it to get an agent and then get my book published. And as I have investigated the field further, it turns out that memoirs, which is what my book is, falls into a shade of gray where most agents and publishers don't want a proposal, which is for nonfiction books. They want a manuscript, which is typically for a fiction book. So it's sort of this, it's nonfiction, but you submit as though it were fiction. And I have a completed manuscript, but it is not what I could consider like high quality professional edited, and it needs the amount of attention and care that I gave to the proposal. And it's going to cost probably twice as much as what I spent on the proposal because it's a longer body of work. And I don't have any pennies. I do not have any dollars to put towards that right now. And so, it was just feeling those feelings of like not having finances, not feeling like a rich or wealthy person at all. And so that's just kind of in the background, okay? So last night I was just hanging out with my husband, Michael, on the couch, just kind of having a quiet weekend, and winding down. So we were just watching TV and kind of sipping on the last little bits of a glass of wine and like not thinking about all of this stuff that I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about. I was like, I'm done. I can't think about it anymore. And so like really just in this very quiet space. And in that quiet space, I started to have these images of people who have been in my life, especially recently, in the last 5 or so years, that maybe I'm not necessarily in direct and regular contact with anymore, but all of a sudden I had a sense of how those people enriched my life. And it's, when you're interpreting subtle energy like this, which is a real deep spiritual energy, it's hard to put the exact words on the feeling, but I'm going to really try my best to get those words to you. So it's sort of like, okay, a flower blossoms very slowly from bud to fullness, and those little changes along the way are very imperceptible until all of a sudden you look and, oh, one day you have this gorgeous flower that has bloomed and it's fragrant, and you're like, oh my God, look at that flower. That's sort of what this feeling is like. It's been a very imperceptible tiny shift that has all of a sudden shown up as like, oh my God, look at how amazing, look at how beautiful, I understand this. And it's not something that you can go out and achieve any more than you can force a flower to blossom or bloom. But it's the nurturing and the care, the showing up for the practice that makes it happen. So I just had this sense of these people that have been in my life, and it was like here at my heart, at my soul, and I could tell that I am enriched, that the interactions I've had with these people have contributed to an inner wealth. And it was, it was really quiet, and it was really subtle, and it was just people, and it was just this sense of like that my soul has been kissed almost, like there's I don't know how to describe that, but there was like a touching of my soul, and because of that, there was wealth. And I got this image of the color of gold, like straight up, like cheesy movie prop shade of gold, and that each of those kisses like brought this spark of gold to my soul, and I understood it wasn't like I said, this isn't exactly it, but this is what I understand, is that each of those interactions made a deposit into the bank account of my soul. And then this morning I recalled that, and so I sat with it, and I thought of all of these people, not just in the last 5 years, but in the really in my lifetime, that have kissed my soul and caused my soul to expand and grow and become a richer, deeper soul. And really, I think what's hard to explain to people is because there is no one that has been in my life through the arc of my life, because my soul has grown and expanded so much that many people have fallen away as each growth and expansion comes. But really, like, if you knew me in my 20s, you wouldn't even recognize me as a human being now. And I feel like even if you were someone who knew me in my 30s and in those early years of Yoga in the Vines and Yoga Flirt, and you were to look at me now, I'm not a recognizable person to who that was. And it's because of all of these experiences with people and life. And then I even started to realize, some of I love to read books, and I have a huge bookshelf full of not just novels, but self-help and spirituality books, and how each of those books has impacted and helped me grow and expand, and that the feeling I'm trying to describe is an internal knowingness that I am a rich and wealthy soul because of the interactions, because of the gifts of the books, because of like great music, because of all of those things. I am so rich, and that can never be depleted. You cannot ever, I cannot ever give away that wealth. As much as I'm giving it to you right now, my wealth isn't depleted. And it was just this whole like moment and quiet. Like I know I'm expressing it in a very vibrant and excited way, but this was like one of those quiet knowingnesses. And I know that it's true for each and every one of us, which is why I'm sharing it, is to help you understand your own experience, that the richness and the wealth has nothing to do with our bank accounts, right? We've seen people who are tremendously wealthy and tremendously successful, and they're really depleted on the inside. And it was like, for the first time last night and this morning, I really understood that the wisdom teachers who say that the wealth is the spiritual wealth, like I felt that and I get it, and it's in there and it can never be taken away. And I came to this really peaceful place of like, if my bank account is never any more exciting than it is right now, which is, guys, totally not, that I will always be a rich and wealthy person on a deep and spiritual level. And when we leave our physical bodies and we go, like I call it going back to the light, when we go back to the light, I bring that wealth with me. I can't bring my bank account, I can't bring my car, I can't bring my house, I can't bring any of that with me to the other side, but I bring the growth and expansion of my soul, as do you. And I understand that my soul has grown and has acquired so much wealth in these 46 years, and it's only going to acquire more. As much as I share and teach you guys the best that I can in my human form, all of this stuff, I will never be depleted. I will always be rich. I will always be wealthy. And it just like takes so much of the pressure off. And I feel like I think of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom right now, and that ride at Disneyland, as far as like what's happening with publishing Empty Buckets. And I'm kind of idling on pause, like, I don't know what's going to happen next, but the ride's not over. But even if I get to the end and all I do is hand you guys what is the crappy first draft manuscript to the handful of friends who are like, I cannot wait to read this book, then that's what'll happen. And again, my wealth won't be depleted. I get a sense that that's not where we're at on this journey. I get a sense that some things are going to unfold that I don't know about yet. But it's like all of a sudden the money part of it doesn't matter. If I never get enough money to do that edit, I'll still find a way to get it in the hands of the people who really want it. And so because Thanksgiving and the holidays are coming, and many of us can start to feel really financially scared, and maybe or not, maybe some of us are like, finances are fine, but there's other areas where you feel broke or broken or depleted. Maybe it's with your health or your weight or your relationships with family or spouses or children. And so if there is an area of your life where you don't feel rich, where you don't feel wealthy, I'm going to encourage you to just take a little step back and sit in. So the thing is with the subtle energy and the spiritual energy is it's really quiet, and it's more of a feeling than it's something we can express in words, which is I think why intuitives and psychics and mediums are sometimes misunderstood, is because it's really hard to put words on something that's just a feeling, that's just energy. And so in order to be able to start to feel that, you've got to take away all of the external vibration and noise. So even if it's just for like 2 minutes, where you turn your phone face down and you shut the laptop and you turn off the radio and you close the door, and you just sit still and breathe, and you don't have to try to make anything happen. What you're doing in those 2 minutes or 10 or 20 or whatever is stopping all of the external vibration and noise so that you can hear and feel what I'm alluding to, which is that you are rich and wealthy in every aspect of your being, but it's that external noise and the thinking mind that's preventing you from feeling it. And so I know that I was able to get to this place of really like I feel so rich and so wealthy and so like I've got more richness than I could spend in 10 lifetimes within me. um, I only got there because I do on a very regular basis sit down and meditate and get quiet, so that I can hear and feel that more subtle energy. Um, and so I just want to close with you today and say to you, if you don't feel it yet, that that's okay, right? I'm 46 and I just last night and this morning for the first time felt a real wealth, a real understanding of what I said. Our wisdom teachers, our spiritual leaders are talking about a spiritual wealth, a spiritual bank account that can never be depleted. And so if you're not there yet, it's okay. And to not beat yourself up and to not feel like you can force it into being. The real way to get things like this or any other deep spiritual understanding to unfold is to show up to your practice the best way that you can. Show up to your yoga mat and do physical practice because it trains and quiets the mind. Show up to the willingness to get quiet for a few minutes a day, even 1 minute a day, and not expect anything to happen. I promise you, I was not sitting there watching TV and drinking a glass of wine thinking about how I could become spiritually rich, right? It's something that flows into you because you have tended to it. So just like the way a flower is going to bloom and blossom because you tended to it, not because you're like, gosh darn you flower, you will bloom right now, right? It's like that. So show up, let yourself get quiet, and step back from any expectation of result and know that the result, just like this pretty flower, you will bloom, you will grow, you will blossom. And know that from my heart to yours, what I'm telling you, I know for sure you are a rich and wealthy person, and none of us can ever be depleted. That bank account will never, ever diminish. And so I'm sending you just so much love and joy and appreciation today and as we move into Thanksgiving and the holidays. And again, if you have questions or want more clarity on how to understand this subtle spiritual realm, please, please, please comment here. See me live in class and we can have some conversations. This week we've got Tuesday 5:30 to 7. No class Wednesday because of the holiday, but Friday 9:30 to 11, which feels great after you've had your awesome Thanksgiving meal. And then Saturday 9 to 10:30, and we can start to help you find a deep connection to your spiritual richness, to your spiritual wealth, and help you feel more peace and contentment and joy in your daily living. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be back live next Monday at 12:30. Please shoot me your questions about yoga, spirituality, intuitiveness, whatever. We're free to have conversations about whatever sparks and speaks to your soul. So I look forward to seeing you next Monday, live here on Mondays on the Mat. Have a great week and a happy, healthy, fabulous, delicious Thanksgiving. Namaste, everybody.